Hello. In today's video we are going to hear the story of JOE METHENY, an American serial killer, a ruthless maniac who made hamburgers from the flesh of his victims. JOE METHENY was born in Maryland in 1953 to a family of 6. His father was an alcoholic. His mother was cruel and did not take care of her children. When Joe was 6 years old, his father died in a car accident, left with 6 children. His mother did not have enough time and resources to take care of all of them. For this reason, Joe spent most of his childhood in foster homes. His childhood was challenging. In 1972, at the age of 19, he joined the Army. During his military service, his life would change completely. He became addicted to illegal substances. His addiction led him a terrible life. After the Army, he became homeless. Later, he was able to find a job in a sawmill, where he worked as a truck driver. He married and settled down. Soon after having a child, Joe seemed to have his life in order, but he hadn't overcome his addictions. The biggest turning point of his life was in 1994, when after returning from work, JOE METHENY found out that his wife had taken the child and left him. This affected Joe deeply. 6 months later, he found out that his wife had run off with a drug dealer. She had also become a sex worker. This was revealed when she was arrested. Joe's son was taken away from the family by court order after this and handed over to social services. No matter how hard he tried, Joe couldn't get his son back. He had a criminal record, and now he was filled with anger and hatred, and when he found out that his wife and her lover were free, he hit the road. He was looking for these two everywhere. He was going under bridges where homeless people stayed. He believed that 2 homeless men knew his wife and were withholding information from him. He got furious and killed both of them. He then waited in the same venue. This time a prostitute arrived in the area whom he also killed. 5 murders were committed within exactly 7 hours, and JOE METHENY was behind all of them. He realized that a fisherman had witnessed his crimes and killed him as well. JOE METHENY would be caught by the police 2 weeks after this bloody night. The police had no concrete evidence. After spending a year and a half in the prison, he was released again when an evidence could not be found. As soon as he was released, he went to his old workplace and expressed his desire to work again. After a year and a half, Joe was back at work. He still hadn't found his wife and the lover she had run away with. He was still targeting this too, especially his wife, who had become a sex worker. Joe started living in a trailer behind a company where he was working. Here he would abduct prostitutes in a hope that they would turn out to be his wife. But now he was calculating an escape plan if he committed a murder. He came up with a maniacal idea. He would bury some parts of his victims' bodies and eat the rest of the parts. One day he did exactly that to 2 prostitutes, first inviting them into his trailer, then placing pieces of their bodies in the fridge. JOE METHENY was a giant. It was almost impossible to fight him back. After a while, he bought a small stand where he cooked and sold pork hamburgers. Soon he got the idea to mix them with the flesh of his victims. These new hamburgers sold very fast, and he needed new victims after running out of their flesh. He needed people's dead bodies to make sales. Joe continued to invite prostitutes to his trailer. This time he made a mistake. The woman was able to escape. Rita Kemper rushed out of the door of the trailer. Joe ran after her, but she managed to throw herself into the road. Within an hour or 2, the woman had gone to the gas station and called the police. The area was filled with police forces soon. JOE METHENY surrendered without putting up resistance. Even the police were not expecting to see a giant like him surrender so easily. Arrested in 1996, JOE METHENY showed no remorse during the interrogation and confessed everything one by one. He explained why he wanted to commit these crimes, right down to where he buried his victims. Then, accompanied by the police, he went to these places and showed them the burial sites. There were literally pieces of human bodies coming out of different places. Joe was a monster. During the interrogations, Joe said that he was still upset that he didn't manage to kill his wife and her lover, and that he hated them both. In 1998, he was sentenced to death in a court of law. In court, he made horrifying remarks, one of which was that one should be careful while eating meat on a roadside, as it could have been made of a human flesh. Then he laughed. In 2000, his death sentence was commuted to 2 life sentences. In 2017, he was found dead in his cell. It appeared to be a natural death. There was no evidence to suggest anything other than that.